Well, hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back with 60 Books in Isolation, and it's an academic book. I read an academic book and I absolutely love this book. Okay, so, and I know we hate it, I'm just about to hit May, but if you're not going to have Christmas in July, I can read a book called The Battle for Christmas by Stephen Nissenbaum, a cultural history of America's most cherished holiday, a Pulitzer Prize finalist. Kudos to you. Okay, right. This book is so good. Now, obviously, this is about America, how America embraced Christmas from the Puritans, the founding fathers onward, okay, to how it became evolved into the holiday that it became. It's interesting, obviously, from a European point of view, because you can imagine the Puritans kind of had to catch up with Christmas in Europe if you will post the Reformation in the UK. I mean, essentially, Oliver Cromwell banned Christmas. And so as soon as he shoved off the mortal coil, twice, no, he died and then they dug him up and then tried him. So technically, so people used to go around the time of Oliver Cromwell, the 17th century, on Christmas Day, basically sniffing for goose, okay, which was a staple food at the time. Instead of turkey came around much later. So, and it's kind of show how obviously the founding fathers, the Puritans have started to play catch up, and then they kind of evolved until now. Okay, and remember, because obviously being British, a lot of our traditions, like the Christmas tree, they're all kind of borrowed from someone else, all kind of co-opted. And it's interesting because America's trying to forge its own identity. Okay, this brave new world of America. Okay, why? Obviously, there's a lot of Dutch traditions seeping in too, because obviously the Dutch have a massive stake in the founding fathers, if you will. Okay, they've got the massive Dutch population, and so a lot of the American traditions are originally Dutch. Okay, so let me read the blurb, and this is quite. Here you go. Anyone who laments the excesses of Christmas might consider the Puritans of colonial Massachusetts simply outlawed the holiday. The Puritans had their reasons, since Christmas was once the occasion for drunkenness and riot, when poor Westerners extorted food and drink from the well-to-do. This intriguing and innovative work of social history, Stephen Nissenbaum, rediscovers Christmas carnival origins and shows how it was transformed during the 19th century into a festival of domesticity and consumerism. Drawn on a wealth of period documents and illustrations, Nissenbaum charts the invention of the current Yuletide traditions, from St. Nicholas to the Christmas tree, and perhaps radically, the practice of giving gifts to children. Bursting with detail, filled with subversive readings of such seasonal classics as A Visit from St. Nicholas and A Christmas Carol, The Battle for Christmas captures the glorious strangeness of the past, even as it helps us better understand our present. And as an academic text, this book is an academic text. It doesn't talk down at all. Stephen Nissenbaum writes in a way that a lot of academic textbooks use long words to sound pretentious. No, this book is a very, very accessible read. Let me start out with it, okay? This is just chapter 1, the New England's War on Christmas, okay? In New England, for the first 2 centuries of white settlement, most people did not celebrate Christmas. In fact, the holidays were systematically ignored by Puritans during the colonial period, and largely ignored by their descendants. It was actually illegal to celebrate Christmas in Massachusetts between 1659 and 1681. The fine was 5 shillings. Only in the middle of the 19th century did Christmas gain legal recognition as an official public holiday in New England. Right at the end of the century, one New Englander born in 1822 recalled going to school as a boy on Christmas Day, and even as late as 1850 in Worcester, Massachusetts. The courts were in session on that day. The markets were open, and I doubt there had ever been a religious service on Christmas Day, as it was Sunday in the town. Seriously, yep. What accounts for this strange hostility? The Puritans themselves had a plain reason for what they tried to do, and it happened to be a perfectly good one. There's no biblical or historical reason to place the birth of Jesus on December 25th. True, the Gospel of Luke tells the familiar story of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, how the shepherds were living with their flocks in the field of Judea, and how one night an angel appeared to them and said, "For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Saviour," okay, which is Christ the Lord. It was only in the 4th century that the Church officially decided to observe Christmas on the 25th. and this date was chosen not for religious reasons, but simply because it happened to mark the approximate rather the winter solstice. So, it's setting the scene quite well. You can imagine, okay, these Puritans, okay, living in like their log cabins, if you will, not celebrating Christmas, okay? As we often say, okay, in the UK, the founding fathers were just boring, okay? The founding fathers were just boring. However, as time goes on, okay, it's kind of, this is obviously the first, more people coming in, and this bit here, okay, this is in a woman called Martha Ballard, okay, who was a diarist, okay? Right. Who recorded her diary activities as wife, mother, and midwife as resident of the main community of Hollowell for 26 years, which I would like to actually get hold of, because just a kind of insight on kind of like times back then, you know, the founding times, if you will, okay? Because obviously 1785, and that's like post the signing of Declaration of Independence. This is like literally New America, if you will. Here we go. Right. It's Christmas Day, she notes laconically. I have done a fortnight's wash, and on December 25th, 1811, the final Christmas of her life, 76-year-old woman reported simply, I've done hours, work, and knit some. Now, she doesn't say she committed celebrations, but she said she remembered the date. And that is a very interesting, that even though it's not celebrated, the date's not forgotten. So maybe there was some clandestine kind of celebrations going on that weren't talked about, but small celebrations. And this is further along, okay? Now, is about the visit from St. Nicholas, okay? Now, for those who don't know this visit St. Nicholas, it goes, the night before children or sleep in the house, no creature was stirring, not even the mouse. Now, that people now know it. Now, that image of the image of St. Nicholas helped to kind of propagate the image of Santa Claus, the evolution of Santa Claus. Now, but the original version of St. Nicholas had him holding the bishop's staff, because St. Nicholas was an actual saint, he was a bishop. So, but it's interesting as well, because the Night Before Christmas is actually lifted, this kind of blew my mind, from an earlier poem called from 1662, which is probably one of the earliest like written poems of America, if you will, okay, called The Day of Doom, okay, by clergyman Michael Wigglesworth, okay. It was nearly as popular in its own time as A Visit from St. Nicholas as today, and it's still a popular poem. I'm going to read just the first two stanzas of each. So it was a night serene and bright, when almost sleeping lay. Calm was the season and carnal, reason thought so 'twould last for aye. So take thine ease, let sorrow cease, much good of our haste and store. It was their song the evening before. Now, I'm going to read again a bit before the Visit for St. Nicholas, okay? It was night before Christmas, when all through the house, and the creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Our stockings were hung by the chimney with care. I hope that St. Nicholas soon will be there. You see the similarities of both poems. Basically, the Visit for St. Nicholas was essentially lifted from an earlier poem. But obviously, it kind of shows how the culture evolved, how this poem was taken and kind of co-opted into a different kind of poem, which kind of propagated the idea of Santa Claus coming down the chimney. Respect. It's kind of like, you know, a cultural evolution, if you will. Now, further along, you can see that you can see how it was originally for, in a way, adults, but then became for children further along. But even today, let's face it, Christmas is for kids. Now, I'm going to just tell you this, okay? So that's my foot, still full of metal. It's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I found out there was no Santa Claus when I was 8. Okay, I just turned 8. My birthday is in November, and it was just after my birthday. I was at school with my friends, and we were in the dinner queue. And I remember saying to her, I don't know what Santa Claus is going to get me for Christmas, because everything I wanted for my birthday. And this girl, final year, yeah, she was about 11, turned around and came and went, there's a Santa Claus, it's your mum and dad. Okay? So, well, hey, found out then. However, looking back, I would give my 3 siblings, who are 3, 4, and 9 years older than me, that even though I never heard it from them, okay, they kept the magic alive. They kept the traditions and the history alive. They didn't want to disappoint me, if you will, okay, burst in that bubble. So even though I had it from someone else, I didn't hear it from them. And now, even as an adult, we have to keep that going for the kids. for December, I have to become a believer. I'm not going to be the one, okay, to turn to a child and say it's not, because it is. And it keeps that alive for them. Okay? So, but the thing is, back then, no one thought about that, because that's not how they thought of children. Okay? Right, this bit here. Okay, this is called Children and Servants, in a chapter called The Parlour and the Street. Right. Until the 19th century, children did not make up a distinct social category. They're not a separate social group, instead as in modern Western societies. Nor did they act as if they were. Instead, children were lumped together with other members of the lower orders in general, especially servants and apprentices, who are not coincidentally, were generally young people themselves. Okay? From this perspective, it became clear that giving Christmas gifts to children was not new at all. Young people did receive gifts at Christmas, but in their roles of servants or apprentices or newspaper carriers, and not because they were children. Children were just treated as young adults, okay? They weren't treated as children, okay? So, as mentality shifted, okay, from seeing children as children was further along. This kind of climaxes when it discusses A Christmas Carol. Okay, and everyone knows the story of A Christmas Carol. Hey, I know the story of A Christmas Carol. I've even written my own version of A Christmas Carol. It's on Amazon right now, okay? It's a contemporary adaptation of the Christmas Carol set in the modern day, where basically my Scrooge character, who's a female, tells spirits of past, present, and future to piss off. So I did writing it. So, and I know my Christmas Carol, but this, I never thought about this. Stephen Nissenbaum has a way of kind of taking the classic story, but making even experts view it in a different light. I've never viewed Scrooge as this, okay? If Bob Cratchit is not a member of the industrial working class, neither is Ebenezer Scrooge an upper-class industrial capitalist. This is true in a pure economic sense, since Scrooge is seen to be a merchant and not an industrialist. Scrooge, too, is essentially a member of the petite bourgeoisie, a self-made man who spends his life striving hard at the cost of all human relationships, whether public or private, to attain a sense of security. He is a man who has not managed to grasp the point that society's striving is no longer required of him. No matter how wealthy he may be, Scrooge is not really a rich man. It might be more accurate describing it as a poor man who has a lot of money. Okay? This bit here. The obligation towards, however, has its limits, even at Christmas. For when, at the very end of the book, Scrooge signifies to the Cratchits that he has changed, but he does so by giving them a Christmas turkey, the largest bird he can find. But as the turkey sent to the Cratchits, he does not deliver it in person, despite what several of the movie versions of A Christmas Carol may suggest. Presents, yes, but not presents. Scrooge is the founder of the feast, but he does not participate in the Cratchits' actual Christmas dinner. Instead, he's chosen to take dinner with his own family at the house of his nephew Fred. The message was clear. It was enough to provide such known employees with a gift, and while this is showing at the point of the book, it is of course evident that the gift amounts to good business practice. For henceforth, Scrooge will surely be able to count on Bob Cratchit's heightened loyalty and diligence. Cratchit will become an even better employee. Oh my god! All the times I've read A Christmas Carol or seen adaptations, I've never thought of it like that. That blew my mind. Is that good? It makes you see things so differently. It's an incredible book. And the thing is, moving on into the 20th century as well, there is this bit here. This is still the same chapter, Tiny Tim and Other Charity Cases, is this bit here, right? This is about 1850, right? And it's about newsboys, right? And obviously the poor kids who work on the streets. And as it happens, newsboys themselves were sort of fascination for middle-class Americans in the decade after 1950, so 1850. There seemed to be something almost exotic about them, as if they were people who were intrigued by their own uncertainty about whether newsboys were lost Victorian children waiting to be redeemed, or just young hoodlums in the making. A fair number of books about newsboys appeared in the 1850s and 1860s. One of them, Ragged Dick, was written by Horatio Alger, who based the novel on his own observations in the original Newsboys' Lodgings house. The title character of this book is spunky and ambitious, but is also polite. Yeah, romanticising the poor. Okay, poverty porn, romanticising the poor. Do you understand? So, yeah, even though these poor kids are desperate and they're barely out of their teens and everything, to the Americans, these kids are romantic. Okay, the romantic ideals, okay, of Victorian England, if you will. Okay, And this kind of carries on, okay, to another part of the chapter called Charity as a Spectator Sport, okay? This bit here. By the final decade of the 19th century, well-to-do New Yorkers had begun to arrange new and larger kinds of Christmas visitations to the poor, and the gala events reeked strongly of exploitation. During the 1890s, some New Yorkers began to treat charity almost literally like a kind of spectator sport, forming on a large scale in arena-like spaces before a paying audience. On Christmas Day 1890, a midday dinner was served to 1,800 poor boys, many of them newsboys, at Lyrical, a theatre in the corner of 6th Avenue, 42nd Street. Right. Dinner was followed the same evening by traditional dinners held at a newsboys' lodging house in the city. Although the newsboys were asked to put on a performance at different holiday venues, there was something erotically charged about watching hungry children eat. Yeah. And this bit here, okay, this is a news thing event, okay. Thousands of little ones made happy in Madison Square Garden, okay. Children of the rich stay away, okay. Yeah. That was what they did. Yeah. Which really goes on today. I think to me with charity, I think it should be done, hey, privately, okay? If you make a big deal out of it, put the focus on yourself, it's not charity anymore, it's just exploitation, right? But also, because it's a narrative of a book about Christmas, it also ties in with slavery, because that's the narrative at this time. It's a bit here, okay? This is part of it. We're sailing across the colour lines, okay? It's a bit here. On occasion, slaves used Christmas to take control of their lives in ways that were far from symbolic. For example, the season offered them unique opportunities to escape slavery altogether by running away, take advantages of the common Christmas privileges of travelling freely along roads that now might be crowded with unfamiliar black faces. It was also presented a tempting occasion for a more aggressive form of resistance. Sanctioned disorders could always overstep the bounds or edge into violence, riot, and even revolt. A striking number of actual near-ruin slave revolts were planned for the Christmas season. Nearly one-third of the known total, according to one historian. Accounts of Christmas insurrections were especially rampant in 1856 when they were reported in almost every slave state. Right. Using Christmas as a rebellion. Whilst Christmas was a form of coming together, it distracted and so the slaves escaped. There's sort of respect for that, planning for your moments. It's inevitable, and there's a bit more about slavery here, but it's obviously pre and post Civil War too. Okay, now what's interesting and a narrative point of view, because this book is so well written, and it taught me so much, okay, about the history of obviously Christmas in America, how it got to something that was banned, okay, because of the misrule, to being kind of like washed down and became for children, is the author's own ethnicity. It's mentioned quite early on in the book that even though he's a Jewish, that he still gave Christmas gifts. Okay, now that's so he still believes in the spirit of Christmas. So obviously it's not a holiday that he grew up himself. Okay, and I think that's actually made it a stronger book, because this book is not bogged down with sentiment or romance. Okay, over the Christmas season, he has a respect for the subject, but he's not bogged down with sentiment. And I seriously enjoyed this book, and also it touches on Jewish heritage as well, because it touches obviously on the evolution of Kwanzaa that came in within the last several decades, and also Hanukkah. So I did like this book, the way kind of like, because every single of those holidays is about the same time as well. They're not competing for each other, but they're touching on each other. So I loved this book. It was one of the best books, if not the best book, I've ever read about the history of Christmas. And I really would love it if Stephen Nissenbaum would write one about Christmas in the UK, because how that evolved, because I'd love to read that as a companion piece. So I'm talking now for 20 minutes non-stop about how much I love this book, but I loved this book. It's academic, but it doesn't bog down with the language. It doesn't talk down. It's just so good. And I've been talking for 20 minutes now. I need a drink, so I'm signing off here, YouTubers. Love to you all. Please read this book. And bye now.